welcome back to Unimonks. My name is Padmajni Chauhan and I'll be teaching you for the CUET history domain. Today we're going to continue with our fourth unit on Buddhism and start with the subtopic Discovering Stupas, Amravati and Sanchi. Alright, in 1796, the local Raja of the area found the ruins of Amravati. Alright, Colin Mackenzie visited the site. He made detailed drawings of the structure, whatever he found there, whatever he saw there, but never ended up publishing anything about it. Okay. In 1854, though, Walter Elliot, the commissioner of Guntur, which is a part of Andhra Pradesh, visited Amravati. Okay. He collected panels and took them to Madras to investigate them better. Okay. They were investigated, the artistic style was investigated, the sculptures were investigated, the panels were properly investigated, and after that, it was concluded that Amravati was probably the most magnificent Buddhist stupa ever built. Alright? But because of this, in the 1850s, slabs from Amravati were taken to the Asiatic in Calcutta, to the India office in Madras, and some British government officers even took them back to their homes in London. Okay, so the preservation of the site did not happen. Okay, what is left today of Amravati is a very distorted mound. Okay, whatever beautiful motifs, panels, sculptures, whatever were there are no longer there, but distributed across the world. Okay, H.H. Cole spoke against this. Okay, spoke against this idea of taking away the sculptures, the panels. Okay, using them as decoration pieces for your garden. Okay, he spoke against this. He spoke of in situ preservation. In situ preservation means preserving the artifact in its original place of finding. Okay. Original place of finding. This was not applied to Amravati though, okay? But Sanchi was saved, okay? Sanchi, thankfully, by that time people realized how important it was to preserve this architecture, okay? Because it was significant to Buddhism, okay? To the Buddhists especially, right? Therefore, when Sanchi was discovered in 1818, they found that the 4 gateways, we've talked about the structure of the stupa before, right? 4 gateways in all 4 directions. 3 of those gateways were standing properly and the 4th one had fallen where it was standing, okay? They did not move that 4th gate. It is still there. It is preserved beautifully, okay? And the mound till date is in good condition, okay? So the preservation of Sanchi has been much, much better than how they treated Amravati. Alright? Now, let's move on to the sculptures that were found there, okay? Historians try and understand the meaning of sculptures by comparing them with textual evidence, okay? For example, this scene from Vesantara Jataka, okay? This is the scene I will be talking about. This scene depicts a king, okay? This king, he gave away all his wealth to a Brahmin and moved to the jungle, moved to live in the forest with his wife and children, okay? Gave up everything and moved to live into the forest, okay? This is what historians assume that this is what that scene is trying to predict, okay? Now, as we go further into the video, we'll be talking about how people who converted to Buddhism brought with them their pre-Buddhist and non-Buddhist ideas, and it is very evident from the sculptures and motifs that are present at these stupas that people brought with them their pre-Buddhist and non-Buddhist ideas. Okay? Now, symbols of worship. Historians familiarize themselves with the hagiographies of the Buddha. Hagiographies, you know this, we've talked about this previously. The biographies of saints, okay? That is what a hagiography is. Now, they familiarize themselves with the hagiographies of Buddha to understand Buddhist sculpture, okay? Because in early sculptures, the Buddha was not depicted in his human form, okay? Instead, he was depicted with symbols, okay? Symbols like the stupa or an empty seat under a tree, alright? Apart from this, the wheels were also used. All these motifs symbolized very important events in his life, correct? You are going to tell me what each of these symbols, what they symbolize, what event they symbolize in his life in the comments down below. Okay, get to it. Answer, come on. Now, popular traditions. Converted people brought their pre-Buddhist and non-Buddhist beliefs. I told you this earlier as well, okay? This is evident in sculptures. For example, that of the Shalabhanjika. This is the sculpture of Shalabhanjika, okay? Shalabhanjika was considered a woman whose touch made trees bear fruits and flowers, okay? She was seen as a symbol of prosperity, alright? That is why, of prosperity. This is probably why they used these sculptures, okay, these motifs at Buddhist sites, okay, bringing in their tradition to symbolize prosperity for the Buddhists as well, for Buddhism as well, okay. Animals were also carved to create lively scenes and attract viewers, okay. For example, the elephant, which signifies strength and wisdom, alright. Now, another motif is of a woman surrounded by elephants and lotuses performing what we call an abhisheka or consecration. Okay? Consecration. Now, she is considered Gajalakshmi, the goddess of... Now, performing abhisheka or consecration. Okay? This we see, she is either, this motif is either considered the Gajalakshmi, the goddess of good fortune, okay, good fortune, or Maya, the mother of the Buddha, alright. Okay, apart from this, motifs of serpents have also been found. Okay, these motifs were derived from popular tradition prevalent at the time. Okay, one art historian, Mr. James Ferguson, because he was not familiar with the traditions prevailing at the time, with the popular traditions of the time, he thought that the Sanchi Stupa was a place of tree and serpent worship. And it's quite funny if you think about it, actually. Alright, new religious traditions. Okay, the development of Mahayana Buddhism. The original idea of Buddhism was to achieve Nibbana through self-effort, right? Nibbana, extinguishing one's desires and ego through self-effort, right? You yourself have to put in the effort to do this, correct? Nobody else is going to help you out. But later on, the idea of savior emerged. Okay, savior was a person who could ensure salvation of another person, and it was only he who could ensure the salvation of another person. Okay, with the idea of the savior emerging, the concept of a bodhisattva developed. Okay, bodhisattva were compassionate beings who accumulated merit to help others instead of attaining Nibbana themselves. Alright, instead of putting in self-effort, attaining Nibbana themselves, they use their merit to help others attain Nibbana. Alright, which, if you think about it, sort of goes very extremely against the basic principles of Buddhism, right? You have to put in self-effort. You yourself have to attain Nibbana by putting in your time and effort, right? Others are not going to help you out, but as the religion develops, the idea changes. Okay? This is also the time where we see the worship of Buddha and Bodhisattvas coming up. Alright? Basically, Buddhism is turning from a way of life into a proper religion. Okay? The new way of thinking is called Mahayana Buddhism, or the greater vehicle. Okay? And the old way of thinking is called Hinayana Buddhism, or the lesser vehicle. Remember this, very important questions for your MCQs, alright? The growth of Puranic Hinduism, alright? Now, the ideas or the tradition of Vaishnavism and Shaivism has started developing, okay? With this tradition, the bond between God and devotee is seen as one of bhakti, or pure love and devotion. Okay? We'll talk more about this, about the concept of bhakti as we start the chapter on the Bhakti Sufi movement, okay? But this is where it started developing, okay? When Vaishnavism and Shaivism start coming up, okay? In Vaishnavism, cults developed around various avatars of the deity. For example, we've talked about this in the Mahabharata chapter as well. Krishna was seen as an avatar of Vishnu, right? That is why, and he was prayed to in the Mathura region, correct? So, Vaishnavism as a cult developed there as well, okay? Their forms were represented in symbols. For example, Shiva was symbolized as a linga, alright? You've seen this, you know what lingas look like, correct? Okay, Puranas that were composed in the first millennium CE, they are an important source to learn about these gods and goddesses. It is through the Puranas that we learn that Vasudeva Krishna was prayed to, okay, was worshipped in the Mathura region. Alright, understood? Great. Building temples. Okay, early temple architecture was very simple, okay? It was a square room called a Garbhagriha, alright? Later, a taller structure was added to the roof of the Garbhagriha. It was called a Shikara, okay? This was built over the Garbhagriha, okay? The walls started getting decorated with very ornate sculptures, okay? Basically, as time progressed, the temples became much more elaborate, alright? Assembly halls were built around them, huge walls and gateways, okay, water supply arrangements, the whole shenan, okay? Now, some temples were hollowed out of huge rocks into artificial caves, okay? The earliest of this was constructed in the 3rd century by Ashoka for the people of the Ajivika sect. Remember this as well, probably could come as an MCQ, okay? But we know a much more recent example of this. You must have visited this site as well. If you've not, I highly recommend you do. It is a beautiful temple, okay? I am talking about the Kailashnath temple at Ellora, okay? It's this gorgeous temple that was carved out of this huge rock, okay? And when you think about it, when you look at that temple, okay, when you see the intricate and ornate sculptures, okay, the artisanal work is so intricate, you're left wondering, right? Because this was centuries ago. How advanced were the artisans of that time? Because they dug it in, right? They hollowed out a huge rock. So one by one, they started from the top, went to the bottom, not the other way around how it's done nowadays, right? So the technology, okay, it's mind-boggling how advanced the society was at the time, okay, or the art scene was at the time. This is a picture of one of the earliest temples built. It's called the Dashavatara temple. It is in Devgarh, okay? Devgarh is in Madhya Pradesh. It is from the 5th century, okay? So as you can see, a basic Garbhagriha, nothing to it, just one room where the goddess is placed, okay? With time passing on, this basic temple becomes much more elaborate, okay? A Shikara is added to the top. The area becomes much larger, okay, you'll see assembly halls coming over here, something like that. Other things just coming up around the main central Garbhagriha, alright? I'll move to this side. This is the Kailashnath temple at Ellora, okay? So this used to be a huge rock. They dug in, okay, carved out this beautiful thing out of that huge rock, okay? Just thinking about it makes my mind sizzle, sort of, actually. Okay, grappling with the unfamiliar. Now, we've talked about this previously. The Europeans were extremely confused when they saw the sculptures of Indian gods and goddesses, right? They're like any other. They're nothing like any other, right? They're very unique to themselves. They were more familiar with sculptures of the ancient Greece, okay? Now, when they found the sculptures of the Buddha at places near Gandhar, this is called the Gandhar School of Art. Gandhar School of Art, yes, okay. They found it easier to compare it with ancient Greece, right? So sculptures of the Buddha and Bodhisattva that were found in Takshila in Peshawar were based on sculptures that have been found in ancient Greece, okay, or sculptures that belong to ancient Greece, okay. Now, these sculptures are similar to the Greek sculptures because this is where Indo-Greek kingdoms were, okay. We know this, we've talked about this previously. Takshila and Peshawar come under Indo-Greek kingdoms, right? That is why their style of art, okay, and sculpture was very similar to what you find originally in Greece, right? This very beautiful way of stone, okay, this is stone, but it looks like actual cloth being draped over Buddha, right? So very intricate, okay, nothing like the Indian school of art, but very similar, but still equally as intricate, okay. Basically, they compared the familiar to understand the unfamiliar, right? Correct? Okay. Another problem, apart from the very, very beautifully confusing sculptures of ours, was that some of the text and the images did not match, okay? For example, the rock surface in Mahabalipuram, Tamil Nadu. This is a very, very popular scene, okay? It has the text that can be compared to this scene. There are two texts, that can be compared to this scene, okay? Now, you are going to tell me what these two texts are. I'm not going to give you all the information. Come on, man, you also have to do some work, right? So, tell me the two texts that have stories that could probably relate to this rock surface, okay? Tell me in the comments down below and I'll tell you if you were right or wrong, okay? Now, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching me, for joining me for this class. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Answer all the questions I asked you in the comments down below. And if you yourself have any questions, please feel free to ask them. And for more such information content, subscribe to Unimonks. Thank you for watching. Bye.